I'm Ken Verderami, and welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Steel Shooter, where we talk about all things and only things Steel Challenge. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel again. Before we jump into the topic for today, I just want to give a quick thank you to everybody who's already subscribed to the channel. Those of you who've been with me for the last couple of years, listen to the podcast and have jumped over to the YouTube channel and already subscribed. I really appreciate that and helping me get this channel to grow. So remember, if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like the video, put any comments down below. That's the only way I know what kind of things you guys would like me to talk about. So if there's specific things, please make a comment and I'll be happy to try to talk about those kind of things. If you got a question, by all means put a question down there and I'll address them. Like I said, I read every single comment. I may not be able to respond to every single one as the comments start to grow, but I will certainly read them and try to respond. Also, go ahead and share this video, right? The one way we're going to get this channel to grow is for other people to hear about it and to come over and take a look. One of the cool things is I've been checking analytics, and over 90% of those of you who are watching the videos have already subscribed. So I really appreciate that. All we need to do now is to get more people to jump on the channel. And towards that end, don't forget something I mentioned the very first video I did is I'm going to hold a giveaway once I hit 1,000 subscribers. I know it seems like a long way at the moment because we've just gotten started, but when this channel hits 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to select a name from anyone who's subscribed at the point prior to or up to the point where we reach 1,000 and who has made at least one comment sometime previously, and that person is going to win a full 6 hours of private one-on-one shooting instruction with me here at my home range, okay? Obviously going to be some restrictions with that where you're going to have to make your own way here to the range, but if you can do that, it's 6 free hours of shooting instruction, right? That's normally going to be $450 worth of free shooting instruction you're going to get. So please, let's help me try to get to that 1,000 mark. All right, so let's get to today's topic. One of the things I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to keep these videos a little bit shorter, try to keep them under 15 minutes. I know my first few videos have been pretty long, and so I'm going to try to keep this down to the 10 or 15 minute point per video, and maybe after I get going here, I can actually put out more than one a week. But for right now, we're going to try to do one a week at 10 or 15. All right, so what I've decided to do as a way to say thank you for those of you that have hung in there with me and switched over from the podcast and are joined the channel right here early when we first get started is I'm going to give away some secrets, quite frankly, that I haven't really told anybody about. Right, we're going to give away the juice here on some training techniques that are not talked about very often, if at all. And this first technique, this training technique I'm going to talk to you about is something that I literally have never told anybody, not even students who've been paying me to teach them. I haven't even told them this one. I've been keeping this one to myself, but I think it's time that I'm going to start out and give this one away, and then there'll be more to follow in the weeks and months to come. So a lot of people ask how it is that I'm able on first shots on things like Accelerator and 5 to Go and Smoke and Hope, how I can shoot sub 5 second first shots and do it consistently with a rimfire pistol. Okay? And the reason I've been able to do that, obviously I work on that a lot, but it's quite a bit more than that. There's a special technique that I learned several years ago from arguably the top U.S., let me get this right, he's the National Skeet Shooting Association world champion. Okay, his name is Todd Bender. If you're not familiar with who Todd Bender is, this guy is arguably the greatest National Skeet Shooting Association champion you'd ever see. He's won, I'm going to read this so I get this right, he's won 26 world titles, world championships. He's an 8-time U.S. Open champion. He's also a Canadian champion, Australian champion, UK champion, and New Zealand champion. And he's had 22 perfect scores in world and national championships. I mean, the guy is just a phenomenal shooting machine. And the reason I know about Todd is He hooked up a while ago with Lanny Bassam, and what they do is they put on these shooting clinics where Todd does the shooting mechanics of shotgun shooting, and then Lanny does the mental side of it, because you can imagine the mental side is big in shotgun shooting, not just in our kind of shooting as well. And together they put on these clinics. Well, there's a technique that I learned from Todd, and here's what it's called. It's called the quiet eye. Okay, and you may never have heard this before, and I'm not surprised because it is something that is pretty close hold among the top shooters in the world. There may be people in our sport who use this technique. They may even be using it without realizing what it's called or where they got it from, but that doesn't mean it's not something they're using quite effectively. Okay, so what is a quiet eye? So the quiet eye is a technique that we use, and we use it only on the first shot. And it doesn't matter if you're a center fire shooter drawing from surrender draw from a holster, or whether you're a rimfire shooter shooting from the low ready position. It works in all cases. Okay. Now, before I get into the specifics of the technique, let me talk about where this comes from. There's at least one major study done by a sports kineologist, right? Someone who studies the mechanics of human motion as it relates to athletics and tries to understand and figure out better ways of doing things. Okay, this is something that the U.S. Olympic team does an awful lot of, and other major sports as well. Okay, so this researcher did a study of the quiet eye technique, and the results that she found from her study are simply amazing. She studied two groups of individuals. She took a section of the top elite shotgun shooters in the world, and then she took a cross section of just average recreational shotgun shooters. And she ran her tests with both of them because she wanted to see, is this a technique that only the top shooters can exploit because it's really difficult and there's just small gains, or can anybody benefit from it? And what she discovered, believe it or not, is that while the top shooters in the world relatively get the most benefit out of it, you still, even as a recreational shooter, once you understand the technique and you employ it correctly, you also see major improvements in your shooting. So this works whether you're a C or D class shooter, or whether you're a grandmaster, or whether you're a national world champion. Okay? All right, so what is the technique? Basically what this quiet eye technique does is it's what allows you to shoot, to make that first shot in Steel Challenge so much faster than people who are not employing this technique. Now, I'm not going to go into how the shotgun guys use it because it's not really relevant to what we do, but the way the technique works, it's going to sound very, very simple, but it's extraordinarily powerful. What you're going to do is you are going to essentially stare at whatever the first target is that you plan on shooting. Now, I know a lot of you do this. So I already do that. I line up, get my gun pointed down, or I get in surrender draw position, and then I turn and I look towards the first target. So I'm already doing this. Well, yeah, you got the first part of it right. You're looking at the target, but I'm pretty sure you're not doing the details of this technique. And the reason it's called quiet eye is because what you're going to do is you're going to pick out the smallest spot you can on the target. In the case of shotgunners, they pick out a point in space where they believe that first clay is going to come from out of the shoot house. Okay, we're not going to do that. Obviously, there's nothing moving, but we're going to take our steel plate, and you're going to try to identify some mark on that target, preferably close towards the center, and you're going to focus your entire gaze at that one little tiny spot. Now, after the first shot, right, there's going to be a black mark on the target, and then 2, then 3, then 4, so you can always pick out one of them. But initially, on the very first run, you got to pick out some imperfection that you can focus your entire gaze at. And what you're going to do is you're literally, once you get set up and you're ready to shoot, you're going to stare at that tiny little spot, and you're going to fix your gaze on it, and you're going to try to look at it for a minimum of 3 seconds without moving your eyes, without blinking, without doing anything, just laser focus on that spot, okay? That's a lot harder than it sounds. And here's the thing that the study found out is while 3 seconds is the minimum for this technique to work and you see the benefits, 4 or 5 seconds is even better. So what you're going to do is you're going to stare at the plate, okay? And you're going to focus all your concentration on that specific tiny little spot, and you're going to try to do it for as long as you can without moving your eye, without blinking, without doing anything, and at least 3 seconds, okay? And like I said, 4 to 5 seconds is even better. Now, what you're also going to find, as I mentioned, this is going to be quite difficult to do. You're going to stare at it, and you may see your eye wander a little bit, and or you may actually blink. Okay, all those things are things you need to figure out how to control and not do that. So it becomes a little easier when you have a specific spot that you can focus on. So usually the first string in every stage is going to be the most difficult because you've got nothing, the target's painted, the plate's completely white, so you may have difficulty trying to pick out a perfection, particularly if it's a longer first shot, like if you're shooting speed option and you're shooting plate number 5, which is 15 yards away, you may have a hard time picking out something, whereas something like Smoke and Hope or Accelerator or 5 to Go, where the first one is 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, is a little easier. But work on that and try to figure out and find a specific spot and stare at that spot, okay? And then all you're going to do, literally, is you are not going to move your eye at all until after you've actually broke the shot and move on to the next target. Now, so when you're first doing this technique, you're going to find that 3 seconds and 4 or 5 seconds is almost an impossibility. Okay, so just slowly work up to it, but practice makes perfect, like anything else. So what I normally do when I was first learning to try to perfect this technique is like with shot calling. Every single training session, I would spend some part of that training session working on first shot mechanics. And as part of that, I would try to practice this quiet eye technique every single time. Now, the nice thing is this is a technique that you can do in dry fire. You don't need to actually fire a gun to do that. All right, when you're first learning this, you'll discover that it's pretty difficult. And so even spending 5 minutes trying to do this technique over and over again will become pretty tiring mentally because of the amount of focus you need to stare at a specific spot and not have your attention or your eye or anything move at all. And one of the techniques that helped me in the beginning is pick a fairly large, in fact what you do is put a spot on a target. In fact, what I did is I take my dry fire targets, okay, the banners, I get a magic marker, don't get a permanent one, but one that erases like using a whiteboard, and somewhere on the plate, right where the plate is, mark a little black mark, right, little tiny, 1 or 2 millimeter mark that simulates what a hit from the target is. Then get at your right distance and practice the quiet eye technique using that little tiny black dot as your focus point, and then work on it. And once you get to the point where you can consistently do it for 3, 4, 5 seconds without blinking, without your eye moving off that spot for even a microsecond, okay, then what you want to do is remove that spot and practice the same technique by trying to look at the very center of the target, and then line up all your vision and your perception and stare at that center spot without anything like that little black mark to help you, and practice the quiet eye technique doing that. Because that's what you're going to have to do when you go out to the range and you're shooting the first string in a stage. You're not going to have a black mark to help you focus. Okay, so again, let's repeat. The technique is called quiet eye. It's simply a matter of focusing all your attention on a very specific spot on the target, prior to shooting and not moving your attention even a micrometer, and certainly not blinking, and keeping your undivided attention at that spot until the timer goes off. You either draw or you bring the gun up and you actually fire the shot on that target. Then, and only then, do you move your eyes to the next target and go on from there, okay? I know it sounds simple, but I can tell you you're going to find it's a pretty complex thing to do. But here's the good news: is you will know pretty much instantly when everything's working correctly, because when you do this technique correctly, that's where you get these dramatically lower first shot times, right? If you're one of those guys that you're shooting rimfire pistol or rifle even, and your first shot on a relatively easy target is like 0.8 seconds or something like that, okay? That's pretty slow, quite frankly. You should be able to shoot that first target 100% much faster. And it's not an issue of how I can't move the gun physically that fast. You can move the gun plenty fast enough, okay? You obviously got to be semi-aggressive here. You can't just kind of, gun goes off and go, yeah, I kind of need to move the gun up there. But if you're one of those guys that you're working hard and you're aggressively moving that gun and you still can't get those times down, what's happening is you're over-aiming, right? You get the gun up there plenty fast enough, but you don't pull the trigger instantly because you're trying to do sight alignment. Well, the quiet eye technique gets you laser focused on a single spot, and what's happening is your subconscious mind is processing all that data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, and it knows exactly what needs to happen. And as soon as you get that response, which is the timer going off, your subconscious mind sends signals to your muscles to move in exactly the correct manner to bring the gun right to where all your attention has been focused and not moved, and the gun literally goes right to that spot. You don't have to think about it, and as soon as it's there, there's no hesitation. You can pull the trigger. That's why you're able to shoot so fast. Okay, so that's what's going on between your subconscious mind and mechanics of your hands and arms moving the gun there. So, all right, guys. So give that a try. That's pretty much the technique in a nutshell. Like I said, it sounds pretty simple. There's not a lot to it, but there is a lot to training to learn how to do it effectively. And it's a skill that I find that if I don't practice on a regular basis, you kind of lose your edge on that. So you kind of need to do this, don't do it and get good at it and then for 2 months forget about it. You want to do it all the time, reoccurringly keep using this technique on some kind of regular basis. So if send me some comments. Let me, maybe you're already doing this kind of thing in some variation or form. Let me know how it's working out for you. If you got any questions about some of the nuances about this, please send me some comments, and I'll try to answer the questions as best I can, and then we'll go from there. All right. So now let's do the shameless plug before we quit for the day. Right. So please, if you're interested in my dry fire training system for Steel Challenge, go to our website, steelshootbanners.com. All our training banners are there for Steel Challenge. They're all there for USPSA. We got 15 classifier stages there as well, and we also got the Glock Shooting Sports Foundation 3 official stages there as well. You can check all those out. Also remember, if you're a rimfire shooter, you want to go to tandemcross.com and use the link that I put down in the description to go there. That's an affiliate link. I get a small percentage of any sale you make. That helps me keep the channel going and keep putting out all this free content and keeping this up. So please remember, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Like the video, share it with your friends, give me some comments. All that helps the channel grow and helps me keep putting out lots more free content like this every week. All right, so until next time, remember, slowing down is never the right answer. Never. You need to learn to see fast.
Ready. Stand by.